third-party property. Third-party policy does not cover the loss or damage by fire, theft and accident to the vehicle. It also does not cover the owner of the vehicle and the driver. Consider taking a personal accident to cover driver and owner of the vehicle. Motor vehicle insurance cover is not transferable. When you sell your vehicle, remember to cancel your policy. Read and understand the terms and conditions of your policy. This message is brought to you by the Insurance Regulatory Authority, IRA. Bima bora kwa taifa.
Niko, tuchomoke. Niko. Ni nini sura? Stress niya?
Ujaona hii public notice?
Public notice gani?
Bro, hujasoma hii public notice? Unakumbuka ile insurance cover nilichukua? Hiyo kampuni ya bima imefungwa bana.
No.
Serious. Ona. Na vile niko na claim na wao.
Usipanic. Policy Holders Compensation Fund, PCF, ni agency ya gava yenye ilibuniwa ili kucompensate mtu yeyote mwenye ako na insurance claim kwa kampuni ya bima ambayo imefungwa.
For real?
Yes.
And what's the process?
Enda kwa website ya PCF. Fata hiyo procedure ya claim vile iko kwa website yao. Step by step. Step by step. Mpaka mwisho. And you are sorted.
Policyholder Compensation Fund will work with you hadi siku utakuwa compensated. Kumbuka, PCF is the only insurance guarantee scheme in Africa. PCF, thamana ya bima yako.
Well, there you are tonight. New developments as we come on air. Some very disturbing. At least 45 people, we understand, confirmed dead. The aftermath of flooding, heavy rains pounding the country. Students also stranded after midnight advisory suspends the reopening of schools. From Broadcasting House in Kenya, this is Prime Edition. Good evening and thanks for joining us this Monday, the 29th. A very cold evening, but I want to warmly welcome you. My name is Tomboy, our sign language interpreter. Tonight, Lensa Odingo. This live broadcast begins right now. "45 people die in Mahio after floods sweep across a village at dawn. Landslide kills 6 members of the same family in Mathioya, Moranga County as heavy rains continue to pound most of the country. An improvised explosive device planted on a donkey explodes, killing 13 people in Mandera. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Our socials at KBC Channel 1. Dozens of families in Ruiru, Gwa Korea village in Mai Mahi, Nakuru County are tonight mourning the death of loved ones as they try to come to terms with the tragedy that has rendered them homeless. At least 45 people have been confirmed dead and over 100 others are nursing injuries following flash floods that swept several homes in the wake of the ongoing heavy rains pounding the country. The county governments of Kiambu, Nakuru are now coming together with Kenya Red Cross Society in a bid to search and rescue those feared dead. More bodies, of course, could be buried in a sludge. Yusuf Farah opening our coverage tonight with that disturbing story.
This massive destruction is what residents of Ruiru Gwakorea village in Mai Mahiu woke up to Monday morning following heavy rains on Sunday night. Dozens of lives lost, several houses destroyed and roads rendered impassable. Families frantically searching for their missing loved ones. Survivors recalling the events leading up to the tragedy.
Nikajaribu kumshika nikashindwa, kaenda nikasimama kwa kitingi kwa hapa nipare kwa ile nilikuwa mwili ya kola hiyo ndio inisaidia. Maji ilikuwa mingi sana zaidi. Sasa kwa hivyo msichana wangu alienda akatupa huko, akapatikana huko kwa miti juu.
Nikanyanga chini hakukuwa na maji, lakini immediately kufungua mlango ya sitting room maji mnyo ikabomolewa nyuma na maji ikatufuata. Hapo kulikuwa na hii gas ikakuja imenisukuma nje. Nisukuma nje, na mzee akajiokoa akarudi nyuma. Na nyumba ikaanza kubomoka akatoka.
In the aftermath, many are mourning with no possession and depending on humanitarian aid from the national and county governments.
Kijana bado saizi jampata. Hakuna kitu yote nimepata. Nimebeba vitu zangu zote. Sasa ningeomba mtu yote anaweza kutusaidia atusaidie.
Lakini hatukuwa na nguo zote. Tulikuwa tumetolewa nguo zote na maji. Pole sana. Ametuokoa. Kile tunaweza tutasaidiana, ametuokoa kabisa. Ametuokoa kabisa.
The Kenya Red Cross Society confirmed 45 persons perished and over 100 others admitted in nearby health facilities.
Tumekuja na mattresses karibu 1000, tumekuja na blanketi, tumekuja na chakula, na tutaendelea kuleta chakula zaidi, tutaendelea kusaidia mpaka tuone ya kwamba hatupotezi maisha.
Your Excellency, tuko na watu kama 110 wenye wako kwa mahospitali in different status. Wengine tumetuma huko Kijabe wenye pengine fractures ziko other issues. Wengine tumetuma hapa Naivasha Referral Hospital wenye wana need a lot of medical help.
Uko mbele kuna mahali hakuna mtu inasimama, hakuna nyumba hata ya magorofa. Kwa hivyo we fear there are still bodies down there.
This even as the Ministry of Water and Sanitation dismissed claims of the flooding being caused by a breaching of a dam. In a press statement, the ministry clarified that the flooding was a result of a blockade tunnel that was to channel River Tongi on the railway line. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who condoled with families that lost their loved ones, says the national government will continue to monitor the situation and prioritize urgent interventions in affected areas.
Don't dare nature. Kwa sababu mimi naona na ninasikia huzuni sana. Watu wakitembea wanakuta pahali maji iko na fujo, inatembea ikiwa na fujo mingi sana. Wagari wanaelekeza ngari huko ndani imebeba watu, wanasobwa na maji, wanapotesha maisha yao, wanawacha familia zao zikiumia.
Survivors of the Mai Mahiu tragedy are being accommodated at Ngea Primary School near Mai Mahiu town. Meanwhile, the death toll from Sunday night's flash floods in Sindio Suba South Sub-County, Homa Bay County has risen to 4 after authorities recovered the body of a child on Monday. Suba Deputy County Commissioner Peter Okiring says about 100 houses were destroyed.
We have had the County Disaster Management Committee, which is a multi-agency team that has worked around the clock to mobilize resources to support the families that have been displaced, the families that have been injured.
Even as the search and rescue operations continue in this area, Kenyans living on flood-prone areas are being urged to move urgently to prevent any further losses of lives. Yusuf Farah reporting for Prime Edition in the county of Nakuru.
Meanwhile, residents of Kiganjo village, Gitugi ward, that's in Mathioya constituency in the larger Murang'a County, are mourning the death of 6 family members who perished in a landslide Sunday night. Efforts by neighbors to rescue the victims who were in 4 different houses covered by the landslide were hampered by the ongoing heavy rains. Kamcha Meza reports.
Gripped by shock, residents of Kiganjo village in Mathioya, Murang'a County
watch from a distance and in disbelief. The aftermath of a natural calamity that took the lives of 6 of their neighbors. Some residents and members of the Murang'a County Rescue Team are trying to retrieve the bodies.
Tumepatwa na simanzi asubuhi ya leo. Kwa maana kutoka leo asubuhi hata ukiangalia huko juu unapata miporomoko imekuwa mingi. Mvua imenyesha na sasa venye mvua imenyesha tumewapoteza wapendo wetu 6 na bado kuna ng'ombe wenye wako tu huku kwa mchanga bado. Hata penye sasa unatuona tumesimama tuko juu ya nyumba.
Ukiangalia mahali hapa janga kubwa limefanyika and kuangalia tu hii matope peke yake ni shida kubwa kupita. Rescue responses imeharibika kabisa, manake hii matope imekuwa mzito sana. So kwa saa hizi tumeweza kutoa miili 6, watoto wakiwa 3 na watu wazima wakiwa 3.
The unfortunate event happened midnight Sunday. The landslide, dragging along trees, damaged 4 houses and killing its occupants, all from the same family.
Na hiyo ni jaga kubwa kwetu kama watu wa Getuge. Na tunaomba kwamba wale ambao wako katika eneo hili wahame. Kunazo sehemu ambazo tumetenga za kutumiwa na watu. Kuna pale Mutito Polytechnic ambapo kuna space kubwa sana, na vile vile Goto Primary School kuna classes ambazo ziko pale ili watu wote watumie ili wazikae hapa, kwa sababu hatutaki mambo kama hata nairudie.
Na kuna Ngutu Primary School, na kama Red Cross tunataka tuende tu assess mahali pale, tuhakikisha kwamba ni mahali pasafi, mahali ambapo hawa wanakijia wanaweza kukaa vizuri bila shida yote, na wakifika mahali pale tutaweza kuhakikisha kwamba wamepata malazi ya kulala.
Another landslide occurred at Kiamahindu, blocking the road leading to Kiritigal Secondary School, with road users plying Mudangari Kiamuturi Road left stranded. According to the residents, the area is prone to landslides. Kamchemenza for Prime Edition.
Let's cross over now to Mandera, where at least 5 people were left dead after the detonation of an improvised explosive device, IED, in Elwak town, that's in Mandera County. Police suspect that the attack that occurred outside of an eatery in Elwak town, often visited by non-locals, may have been carried out by the outlawed Al-Shabaab militia. This is the second, by the way, such blast to happen using a donkey cart. Give us on Maina reports.
In Elwak town, Mandera County, a somber mood engulfed residents following a terrorist attack that left at least 13 people dead and several injured on Monday morning.
Nilisimama, kaanza kuongea na wenzangu. Sasa ndio niliona watu wameanza kuamka mahali walikuwa. Kuangalia ni moshi na nikasikia mlipuko mkubwa. Kuangalia mahali walikuwa wameketi, sasa ndio nimeona watu kama waina wamelazwa chini.
According to police, the attackers planted an improvised explosive device, IED, in a donkey cart, possibly to evade arrest, and drove it to an eatery, often visited by locals and non-locals, before detonating it.
Kulikuwa ni incident imefanyika hapa town Elwak. Kulikuwa na watu hapa, watu wanakuja kusanyika kuangalia kazi, kungoja kazi. Sasa katika ile harakati ya usubuhi tumesikia mlipuko kubwa. Kapiga watu, wataka kufa, wengine akaumia, watu wengi sana wameumia.
A clearance patrol is being conducted by a multi-agency security team led by the Kenya Defence Forces as residents call on heightened security measures.
Hali ya usalama imekuwa ni mbaya sana upande huu wa Northeastern. Tunaomba serikali tusaidie sana, iangalie upande wa usalama.
Area Member of Parliament Abdul Haro condemned the incident, pledging support for the affected individuals, including the injured, recuperating at Elwak Sub-County Hospital. Give us Maina, Prime Edition.
Well, we have since confirmed that it is 5 people who died after that detonation of an improvised explosive device, and not 13, as reported by my colleague, Give us on Maina. But let's look at the latest at the IDA summit, where Africa heads of state and governments have called for increased concessional funding from the World Bank's International Development Association, a facility that offers low-cost financing for low-income countries. The call was made in Nairobi, where the IDA 21 communique was adopted, a communique which calls for a win-win relationship between lenders on one side and low-income countries on the other.
Nairobi IDA communique adopted by African heads of state at the summit outlines urgent priorities that will build a stronger human capital, create jobs, enhance energy and digital access, build climate resilience, and promote sustainable growth.
We must remain focused on the ultimate goal, safeguarding the future of our civilization, the human race, and the diverse life forms that share our planet.
The president's called for tripling of IDA's financing capacity to $279 billion by 2030, while maintaining the essential consensual nature of its financing for development needs.
Significant shortfalls in development finance and shrinking fiscal space, what is required in going forward are more concessional resources.
This support is not just financial. It is a lifeline for our development and also our stability.
It was agreed that Africa is keen on driving its industrialization agenda using its abundant energy, minerals, human capital, and development of irrigation schemes, railways, and electricity.
Why there is no growth is because the growth factors are not funded. They are not even understood.
And over the course of history, this abundance has too often brought profiteering rather than prosperity. Today, we are focused on a brighter future.
President Ruto said access to affordable, long-term capital at scale will help unlock Africa's green energy resources, providing power to all its citizens and significantly advance global decarbonization efforts.
Significant capital injection into IDA is crucial.
President Ruto urged African heads of state to take deliberate and robust actions in improving fiscal discipline, increase domestic revenue mobilization, develop investor-friendly policies, and enhance anti-corruption measures. As deliberations on IDA 21 comes to a close, heads of state clarion call is to increase allocation to developing nations to address issues bedeviling African countries such as climate change, youth unemployment, conflicts and violence, among others. Reporting from KICC, Amoiri Mujenga.
Now, hundreds of students who reported to school have been left stranded after the Ministry of Education suspended the reopening of all primary and secondary schools to next week. That's the 6th of May. Parents in Kajiado County who had travelled from far-flung areas have expressed their displeasure with the government for the costs incurred due to the late announcement. Sarafina Robi with that report.
This is the situation in Kajiado County, moments after the Ministry of Education released the circular suspending the reopening of schools to the 6th of May this year. Students and parents who had travelled from distant places were shocked to learn of the announcement in the middle of the night.
Kama walimu wajipange wasikie kama wangekuwa wametuambia jana ili tusiharibu nauli bure. Sasa bado nilikuwa naenda kufanya, lakini hata pesa ya nauli nimeshaitumia.
Nimepokea taarifa wakati nimefika hii town na nilikuwa nampeleka Orkejodo Boys Primary School.
Wao wanaweka fixed date ambayo inafaa kwa watoto, hata kama changamoto kama hizi zinaweza tokea, wangekuwa wanatangaza hiyo kitu mapema.
Some of the students travelled last evening and some on Monday morning are stranded at bus stops. Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogo says the postponement of school reopening has been occasioned by corroborated data that shows most schools have been adversely affected by the ongoing floods.
Let's now move into the corridors of justice, where Nairobi High Court has ordered former Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria to immediately present himself at the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission headquarters in Nairobi, Kenya, following the lapse of the conservatory orders he had secured from a high court in Murang'a. Wairia and others accused are yet to take plea in the 140 million shillings graft case in Murang'a County. Justice Professor Nixon Sifuna ordered that they report to the EACC for fingerprint taking and also recording of statements ahead of plea taking at the Milimani courts on Tuesday. Details in the Scales of Justice segment.
At the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Court in Milimani, Justice Professor Nixon Sifuna vacated conservatory orders that had stopped the arrest and prosecution of former Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria, his wife and 6 other graft suspects. Wairia had alongside his wife Jen Waigwe Kimani and brother-in-law Solomon Mutura Kimani obtained conservatory orders from Murang'a High Court against their arrest. However, the orders lapsed on April 25th. The judge has ordered Wairia and his co-accused to immediately proceed to EACC Police Station at Integrity Center for fingerprint taking and statement recording ahead of arraignment in court tomorrow. Professor Sifuna has further ordered the arrest should they not comply.
But Your Honor, even when we be reflecting on this matter, you'll be surprised that a CEO has been charged with all these offenses. There was no procurement plan, there was no budget, and stuff like that. One individual in an institution, a civil way, failed to remove him from office. Criminal processes are being used to remove him from office. And that is why Senior Nyaundi says only him is charged.
Elsewhere, a former chief executive officer of Bomas of Kenya has been charged with 7 graft-related offences worth over 8.5 million shillings. Peter Gitar Korea, who was arrested last Friday, denied the charges before Anti-Corruption Chief Magistrate Thomas Nzioki.
You shall be released on a bond of 5 million with one surety for similar amounts. That is, if you are using your property to secure your release, you are using a property to secure the release, the value should be 5 million.
The case has been scheduled for mentioning on 9th May.
And we'll be following that one for you. Well, that story brings us to our first break here on Prime Edition. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we dig deeper into the second part of this live broadcast. African leaders call for restructuring of international credit financing models to ease the continent's debt burden. Kenya under-20 rugby team Chipu returns home after a triumphant outing in Zimbabwe.
Kumbuka, Kenya Revenue Authority is writing off penalties and interest on outstanding tax debt for tax periods up to 31st December 2022. Act now. Pay off your outstanding tax debt in easy installments by 30th June 2024 and watch those penalties and interests vanish. Scan the QR code or visit the KRA website for guidelines on how to apply. You can also call us on 0711 099 999 or visit any of the nearest KRA offices. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to set your tax records right. Anza upya na KRA Tax Amnesty. Kenya Revenue Authority. Tulipe ushuru, tujitegemee. Work Injury Benefits Act, WIBA, guarantees that employees get financial compensation from their employers when by accident they suffer injury, become disabled, contract occupational disease, or die while at work. WIBA insurance protects employers from financial liabilities which may arise from their employees' work-related injuries, death, and occupational disease. Read and understand the terms and conditions of your policy. This message is brought to you by the Insurance Regulatory Authority. IRA, Bima Bora kwa Taifa.
Kurumisha ndege. Aviator Instant Game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Are you looking for competent college training founded on Christian background? Sensei Institute of Technology is the right place. Welcome to the home of great practical skills where learning is hands-on, the CBC way, and everyone has potential.
I'm Silvano Magez Mugisha.
from Uganda. I'm a student in Sensei Institute of Technology. I've taken several courses in Sensei, which is plant operator, plant mechanics, automotive electronics, and solar installation and CCTV. The reason why I've done all those courses with Sensei, Sensei gives the best practical skills in all fields, and these skills always help us to provide our best to the society. I've had a very good experience with Sensei because the teaching staff of Sensei do not only act like teachers, but they even act like parents. So they have given me a good experience in school and outside school.
All you need is your ID card to be admitted to either of our 2 campuses in Nairobi and Nakuru. Call us on 0717-951-055 or 0729-891-301. Sensei Institute of Technology. My skills, my future.
Kenyan men have been voted to be the most handsome in Africa. Hey, and we cannot keep calm, man. Yeah?
The goal is to bring people from all walks of life together to enjoy a day of music, art, food, and of course the color that brings it all together.
Dance is how I release my anger. Dance is how I attract people. Dance is how I get my dollar. It's my ecosystem.
But different.
With popular hit songs such as Yeah 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 and Story Ilianza, Boutros is Shrap's most successful story yet.
Shrap music started off like us trying to identify ourselves or whatever. But right now, it became like something that can hold on to the industry.
There's too many fish in this.
Welcome back, our socials at KBC Channel 1, our sign language interpreter, the ever smiling Lensa Odingo with specs. She told me she needs the specs to bring her bright future closer. Well, the government has defended its course of leveraging technology to secure identification cards after eliminating the vetting process. Speaking during the launch of guidelines for the acquisition of IDS for communities in urban and cosmopolitan areas, Immigration Principal Secretary Ambassador Julius Bitok and his interior counterpart Raymond Omolo said that chiefs will be held responsible for any Kenyan ID issued to foreigners. This follows the president's directive to do away with the current multi-agency vetting committee that has been blamed for frustrations linked to corruption and inordinate delays in the issuing of ID cards to communities living along national borders and cosmopolitan areas.
We are very keen in working with our sister department, Internal Security and National Administration, to ensure that we remove all the bottlenecks. And you are the people actually who are going to help us.
There is still a lot of identity theft in terms of people using documents that are not properly acquired, but also misinformation on people who go out there. Now, a lot of this is facilitated by our officers.
We grant citizenship by blood, not by the soil. By blood meaning, even if you are born in our soil, one of your parents must be a Kenyan. So by just being born here doesn't mean that you can acquire citizenship or you can acquire our documents.
Religious leaders drawn from the National Council of Churches, Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops and Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims are demanding speedy recruitment of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries commissioners to avert a potential constitutional crisis. The leaders stated that if delayed, the requirement for timely delimitation of boundaries and by-elections may also invite a political problem in the future. The leaders who spoke at Tufungomano House here in Nairobi, Kenya, said that any attempts to amend the law as contained in the National Dialogue Committee report must be people-centered.
We have called on Parliament to fast-track the process of the reconstitution of the IEBC as soon as possible, because it affects the representation of people. And we know there are constituencies that lost MPs, an MP, and they have not been represented. We have wards without MCAs. They are not represented. Yet democracy, one of the fundamental pillars, is representation.
The problem of the implementation of the two-thirds gender principle falls to political will. And we believed that we had the necessary political will because the president has severally pronounced himself on this matter. He has consistently assured that the two-thirds will be implemented, as has the Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
There was drama in Machakos town when a group of junior secondary school teachers were barred by police from protesting in the town. However, their colleagues in other parts of the country went about with their protest to pressure the Teacher Service Commission to change their contracts to permanent.
The teachers accused the officer commanding Machakos Town Police Station of failing to acknowledge their notification to hold the demo. Led by the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers Machakos branch, Vice Chair Yvonne Musyoka, the protesters said they wanted to join their colleagues who are disputing contractual terms issued by the Teacher Service Commission.
JSS teachers are human beings. Yes. JSS teachers are qualified teachers. Yes. It is very wrong to put two teachers in the same staff room earning different salaries. Yes.
And in Kiambu, JSS intern teachers have also threatened to go on strike to protest alleged bias in hiring by TSC and termed the 17,000 shilling pay as insufficient.
We feel overworked. We should have been employed on the terms that are identical to the PNPs because we do equal work.
In Kakamega, JSS teachers marched to the office of the Director of Education to demand permanent employment as well. It was a similar situation in Kwale County as junior secondary school teachers also protested demanding employment. And finally, M-Pesa Foundation, in partnership with Amref Health Africa and the county government of Kilifi, has launched a 225 million shilling maternal health program called Uzazi Salama. It targets to benefit 500,000 people by strengthening reproductive, maternal, neonatal, child and adolescent health outcomes for mothers and children.
Tunataka kupunguza ile idadi ya fatalities ambazo tunaona mara nyingi wa mama wanapoteza maisha yao ama maisha ya mtoto kwa sababu ya umbali ya where the health facility is.
For KBC Channel 1, I am Jael Wakesho.
Served as the Minister for Labour in the 90s. This week on the cabinet, we focus on teacher turned politician Philip Masinde, who served in President Daniel Moi's administration.
Philip Masinde was born in 1933 in Nambale Town, Busia District, now Busia County. He worked as a teacher at various intermediate schools in Western Kenya before independence. Soon after, he won a scholarship from the Catholic Church to study in the Netherlands. He earned a degree in political and social sciences and returned home at independence. He became a labor officer and then moved to the East African Airways as a human resource manager. In 1988, at the age of 55, Masinde joined politics and was elected as Nambale Member of Parliament, an elective office he held until 1997, during which he also served as Labour Minister. Masinde was appointed to head the Labour docket after the 1992 multi-party general election. Moi reshuffled his cabinet several times. Masinde served in the same ministry for the full 5-year parliamentary term. He inherited the crisis involving billions of shillings lost at NSSF and, to a lesser scale, the National Hospital Insurance Fund, and served during the crisis over teachers' salary ahead of the 1997 general election. In the 1997 election, Masinde lost his KANU nomination and parliamentary seat to Chris Okemo. He served as a two-term Nambale Member of Parliament. He is remembered as an amiable Labour minister who dealt effectively with the crisis he faced in office. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
Shamba ni mbili, yako ni gani? Kwenye star 570 hash. Every 100 shillings unayotumia kwa Lucky Game inakupa 1 entry point ya kuingia kwenye drum ya draw ambayo inakupa fursa ya kujishindia moja kati ya shamba hizi mbili. Mwisho wa April namtangaza mshindi wa shamba hili la 1.1 million Kenyan shillings na unapata title deed yako safi. Na mwisho wa Mei namtangaza mshindi wa shamba hili la 1.1 million Kenyan shillings, lori za mawe na mchanga. Ploti ndizo hizi. Dial star 570 hash. Title deed ndio hii. Vuka na shake.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Welcome to the business segment. I'm sitting in for the business news anchor. Calls to restructure credit financing models to reduce the high cost of borrowing continued at the International Development Association IDA Summit here in Nairobi, Kenya, led by President William Ruto. Heads of state and government from Africa emphasized the need for favorable concessional loans that are low cost. Why? To ensure the continent is not crippled by debt.
According to the International Monetary Fund, the average debt ratio in sub-Saharan Africa has almost doubled in just a decade, from 30% of GDP in 2013 to about 60% of GDP by end of 2022. Repaying this debt has also become much costlier. As of 2022, more than half of the low-income countries in sub-Saharan Africa were assessed by the IMF to be at high risk or already in debt distress. African leaders now say the lending ecosystem ought to adjust the interest rates meted on low-income countries to achieve sustainable lending.
High interest rates lead to unsustainable sovereign debt, complicate refinancing, and destabilize our currencies. Sustainable growth remains elusive for African nations as we allocate more funds to debt service than to crucial sectors like education, health, and social protection.
According to a UNDP report on reducing the cost of finance for Africa, 62.5% of rated African countries were downgraded by the big three credit rating agencies between 2020 and the first half of 2021 due to the impact of COVID-19. This is compared to a global average of 31.8%. The heads of state and government say solutions such as establishing a multilateral credit agency would counter the dominance of the top three credit rating agencies whose rating is used to determine interest rates when lending.
Last year, we brought to global attention that African nations pay interest rates up to 5 times higher than typical World Bank IBRD rates.
The intersection between climate and debt makes imperative the need to reform the global financial architecture in a way that delivers more resources to our countries to help address the current polycrises affecting our development and that of future generations.
High debt distress, or the risk of it, has been synonymous with African countries, and the heads of state who attended the IDA 21 have been adamant that there is need to restructure the loan financing across the world to accommodate African countries and ensure sustainable development. Reporting from KICC Nairobi, I'm Betty Kiptum.
From debt distress to data protection, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner has issued 60 enforcement notices, 8 penalties and 6 fines since being operationalized in 2019. Data Commissioner Immaculate Kasait says that the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner has a complaint resolution rate of 75% after receiving over 5,300 complaints to date, mainly from data protection issues related to the use of personal data by data handlers.
The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner in September last year imposed fines totaling 9.3 million shillings on 3 distinct businesses found guilty of breaching data protection regulations. The Data Protection Office says its efforts have not been in vain as it seeks to streamline data protection compliance, especially by data handlers.
We've had cases where we have determined the reason pass for health institutions that have violated right to privacy, mounting surveillance. We've had cases of even designers who have picked the videos of their clients without their consent and played on their Instagram pages.
The compliance also stems from awareness, even as the country is beginning to grapple with emerging issues, such as the use of artificial intelligence in data handling.
In our awareness creation is to urge compliance in as far as whether it's AI or any other aspect in as far as the technology is concerned.
In terms of government, we're already moving with speed and working on an AI strategy. We realized instead of just giving guidelines and policy on AI, is first to engage the public and the private sector on a strategy for AI so that we can come out with a substantive law that governs AI.
They were speaking ahead of the Network of African Data Protection Authorities annual general meeting and conference to be held in Nairobi from next week.
Why is it important for Kenya to host the conference? One, when we talk about data protection, it's an enabler, cross-cutting in the digital economy. So therefore, the conference brings together experts from public and private sector, civil society, NGOs, and development partners, and really it's for an opportunity to share and deliberate in advancing trends in personal data protection space.
Alanoko, Prime Edition.
The American Institute for Research, AIR, has opened a new office in Nairobi in renewed efforts to boost research and provide technical assistance in education, research and food security in the East African region. American Institutes for Research Managing Director for Kenya, Christine Kiechia, says that the institution is partnering with 4 public universities in efforts to bridge the gap in evidence, data and research for policymakers as well as programmers in decision making.
Investment in the growth of high quality, rigorous and relevant social science and behavioral science research. Our equity initiative reflects an opportunity to self-fund in areas that are seeing less investment by governments and foundations yet, but we often work in partnership with governments and communities and foundations through our equity initiative.
AIR believes that evidence should be centered around the people who are part of the situation and where they live. And so we have Kenyans conducting research and evidence to provide this evidence for policymakers in Kenya. And we want to continue to grow that and expand that with this new office.
We call it P3, Pipeline Partnership Program, which works with University of Nairobi, University of Dar es Salaam, and we have recently expanded to also include Kenyatta University, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga University of Science and Technology, and our main focus is to build capacity of faculty.
Before we look at an item here on agriculture technology, an item coming in through the newsroom here from the President. Tomorrow, there will be a cabinet meeting first thing in the morning to discuss what additional measures that government can take just to ensure that the citizens of Kenya are looked after in the wake of the floods that are pounding the country. 45 people have died so far in Maimahio after those floods swept across a village at dawn. Now, Agriculture Principal Secretary Dr. Kiprono Rono says that there is need for adoption of technology to address food insecurity and to promote agricultural sustainability. Dr. Rono says that a partnership between public institutions and the private sector is key in facilitating adoption of new technologies and innovations to transform the agricultural sector.
The agriculture sector faces numerous challenges, including limited access to capital and markets, low levels of mechanization, and adverse effects of climate change. However, these challenges present opportunities for innovation that Dr. Rono says the public and private institutions can use to incorporate digital tools to disseminate the necessary information, detect issues, and better manage their farm operations.
This is one of those rare programs which we are saying the farmer has felt the existence of government in facilitating the farmer to produce food for this country.
He says there is a need to review the seed system to boost access to quality seeds.
There is need for African countries to come up together and create what is called Seed Bank for Africa, so that we address the issues of seed shortage, seed quality, and seed variety.
He says the government is investing in biotechnology research for key crops like maize to enable Kenya exploit the benefits of the technology in improving agricultural productivity.
We are protecting the farmers. We are protecting Kenya food security. We are protecting our population so that there is order. And we are on course as government on matters to do with food security, and all our stars are aligned.
Ndutamo Kami for Prime Edition.
Plans are underway to expand the capacity of the Coast Development Authority integrated fruit processing plant in Tana River County from the current 1,000 litres per hour to 3,000 litres per hour in efforts to boost value addition. The National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Regional Development member Majimbo Kalasinga says that the target is to improve the living standards of coastal smallhold farmers and also to create jobs for the youth.
We have installed a 1 ton per hour capacity machine, crushing machine, which produce pulp. The pulp is the puree that we now sell off to the mango, to the juice makers.
Kenya government is much concerned with a small man, with a common man, how much he earns from a mango, how much he can fetch from that mango is what is very important here. And also people around need water, MD. I think you need more expansion because the capacity of this machine seem not able to satisfy the market.
Kwa hivyo mtambo huu pia ukipanuliwa, zile tomato ambazo zinalimwa hapa zinakuzwa kwa wingi ziweze kufika katika hiki kiwanda ili aweze kusagwa na kuwekwa katika mifuko na kusafirishwa kwingine ili mapato ya watu wa Tana River ama wanatana yaweze kuongezeka zaidi.
Competition from the cheap imports and challenges accessing capital are among some of the issues slowing down the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises. Principal economist Anthony Njeru says that the draft credit guarantee policy is seeking to address this by streamlining access to quality and affordable credit facilities by establishing MSME outreach centers, enhancing capacity building efforts and digitizing business registration processes.
This act, when passed, will be able to address some of these problems affecting our SMEs. So as we are here, we are requesting you kindly to make your contributions freely on how we can improve the sector.
We have one to come up with a policy, which is a Kenya credit guarantee policy, which will support the establishment of the company and also facilitate the credit access ecosystem. And we are also amending the Central Bank Act that will also act as will anchor the establishment of the company and any other company that might be established to offer credit guarantee.
The National Government Constituencies Development Fund, NGCDF, is established under the NGCDF Act 2015. The fund was first initiated through the now repealed CDF Act of 2003 that came into effect on 15th of April 2004. In this regard, this year we are marking 20 years since the fund's inception. The fund has been instrumental over the past 20 years in supporting community-driven development initiatives across the nation. The NGCDF 20th anniversary celebrations will be held on Friday the 3rd of May 2024 at Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi, and will be presided over by His Excellency Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, CGH. This event will be live on KBC Channel 1.
Multi-bonus. Zidisha ushindi wako hadi 1,000,000 na multi-bonus 1,000%. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet.
Sports News is brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Just in time for Prime Edition Sports, I'm Bernard Okumu. And let's begin with the good news where the triumphant Kenya Under-20 rugby team Chipu jetted back home Monday afternoon after winning the Bathurst Cup trophy in Zimbabwe. Now Chipu came from 2 tries down to beat Zimbabwe's Junior Sable 28-13 in the final. The final was a repeat of last year's at Nyayo National Stadium where the Junior Sable beat Kenya 28-7 to win the tournament. Following the win, Chipu booked a ticket to the 2024 World Rugby Under-20 trophy set for July in Edinburgh, Scotland. Now the Kenyan side will be making their 3rd appearance in the global event since 2019.
We can do better, try training. We can start our training earlier. We can also start our camps earlier. If we spend time together as a team, we'll be stronger, the bond will be greater. And even the allowances coming on time, the merchandise, these are strong boosts for the mental state of the players.
We landed there, we really didn't know what we were going to meet, and we were the underdogs. As we landed there, everyone had written us off. I believe even some of our own guys. Our problem was always Namibia when we landed. We had focused so well on it. When we got there, we just did what we knew how to do best, and we eclipsed Namibia. Good thing is, from that day, we were able to now look at the other teams and work against their weaknesses.
And congratulations to Chipu, and we wish them all the best in the Junior World Cup in July. To volleyball, where former African Queens Kenya Pipeline trounced Reunion Islands at St. Denis by 3 straight sets in their final Group C match to advance to the quarterfinals of the ongoing Africa Women's Volleyball Club Championship in Cairo, Egypt. Meanwhile, Prisons Kenya will face Nigeria's Customs, while former Africa champions KCB will take on ASEC Mimosa of Cote d'Ivoire Tuesday in the last.
Kenya Pipeline, under the tutelage of former Kenyan international Esther Jepkos Gay, labored before bagging the first set 25-21. However, a well-organized attack line and backcourt defense enabled the Kenyan champion to easily win the second and third set 25-11 and 25-8 respectively to advance to the last 8. Pipeline was set to face the fourth-place team in Pool A in the round of 16, but the pool had only 3 teams, following Pipeline to become the first team to qualify for the quarter-finals. In the last 16 matches slotted for tomorrow, Prisons Kenya will face Nigeria Customs, former African champions KCB will take on ASEC Mimosa of Cote d'Ivoire, Al Ahly will be up against Reunion Islands Saint Denis, while Algeria's Bejaia will face Cameroon's Mayocon Evolution. For Prime Edition, I'm Sela Onyango.
And speedster Asad Anwar defied all odds to triumph in the 6th edition of the Betika Rallycross held at the Kasarani Super Spectator Stage in Nairobi. Over 30 drivers took part in the event.
The 2014 Autocross 4-wheel drive champion topped the podium in the open cars category with a time of 6 minutes 21.82 to pit Rwandanese driver Giancarlo Davite and rookie Ishmael Azeli, who completed the podium positions. In the 2-wheel drive category, Aman Ganatra, second in the 2-wheel drive non-turbo autocross championship, showcased exceptional driving prowess, clinching the top spot with a blistering time of 6 minutes 21.96. In the team events, the juniors category saw 2022 African Rally Championship podium finisher Hamza Anwar leading his Soli Gym team to victory. John Kadivane, the junior class driver on the Betika team, finished second. The ladies' event saw Maxime Wahome deliver a flawless performance to claim first place and valuable championship points. Mother-daughter duo Caroline Gatimu and Tinashe Gatimu finished second and third, respectively.
Continentally, Egyptian side Zamalek won their CAF Confederations Cup semi-final second leg with a convincing 3-0 victory over Dreams of Ghana last night to qualify for the final. Meanwhile, Morocco's RS Berkane secured a spot in the final after the second leg of their semi-final clash against Algeria's USM Alga was called off for the second time in a week.
The White Knight won the tie 3-0 on aggregate after goalless first leg in the Egyptian capital last Sunday.
They have a corner now, and there is the away goal. Well, they had to wait.
Zamalek bettered their previous results in the penultimate stage of 3-1 victory by SuperSport United of South Africa against Club African of Tunisia 7 seasons ago.
Kindly here. It's the wrong goal, and it's the third. And surely that's job done. Mustafa Shalabi.
USM Alger of Algeria refused to enter the pitch in the northeastern Moroccan city of Berkane for the second leg in the semi-final, which has been dodged by off-field drama.
They're going to get a great reception. They're on the brink of the CAF Confederation Cup final.
Berkane were awarded a 3-0 win in the first leg, which was not played last Sunday because Algerian authorities confiscated the shirts and refused to return them. The Cairo club will face Renaissance Berkane of Morocco in the 2-leg final on May 12th and 19th in what will be a repeat of 2019 title decider won by Zamalek on penalties. King Orimwangi for Prime Edition Sports.
And to Italy now, where the Scudetto has already been decided, but a wasteful Napoli was held to a 2-2 draw at home by AS Roma in Serie A as the late Tammy Abraham header secured a point for the visitors. Meanwhile, Fiorentina secured a 5-1 victory over Sassuolo in a match played at the Artemio Franchi Stadium.
Called offside.
And that's it from the Sports Deck on Prime Edition this hour. I'm Bernardo Kuhn. Thank you so much for watching.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet.
You can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your wind. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
Thanks to our coach for that sporty update, Bernardo Kumu there. And I want to also thank our sign language interpreter for keeping up with me and interpreting everything said on this live broadcast. A tough job. Sometimes we forget to acknowledge the good work that our sign language interpreters are doing. Well, also in the back end, there is a solid team that helps to put this together. I want to thank them, but most importantly, I want to thank you for watching Prime Edition. My name is Tomboy, and before we let you go, there's this segment, Know Your Legislator. Our reporter, JJ Curia, Jacob John Curia, ventured into Limuru constituency. That's in Kiambu County. And the constituency, as he found out, has invested in a school feeding program. How have they done that? They've set up a kitchen. And that kitchen supplies hot meals to pupils in over 17 public primary schools within that constituency. A venture financed through the National Government Constituency Development Fund, or CDF, if you like. We now leave you with the details of how the constituency is managing and also absorbing the funds as told from the perspective of residents and the area member of parliament. I'm Tom Boyer. Good night and enjoy the rest of the viewing.
Limuru constituency, one of the 12 constituencies in Kiambu County, is multicultural and is home to an estimated 300,000 people. What greets your eyes are the lush green tea fields neatly tucked to the east of the constituency. It is a constituency of contrasts, owing to its rural and urban blend that makes it cosmopolitan. Its road network stands out thanks to funding from the National Government Constituency Development Fund. The area MP, Engineer John Kiragu Shege, is serving his second term as a Member of Parliament. We ventured into the town to get the perspective of locals of what they thought of the utilization of a National Government Constituency Development Fund that was meant to change the development narrative at the grassroots.
Yani hata shule, it is very presentable. Ukiingia unaona umeingia kwa shule.
Kwa saa hii, kwa kitambo barabara ilikuwa imeharibika, lakini kwa saa hii tunasaidika sana. Juu sasa barabara watu wanatumia njia ya kuenda Limuru ama ya kuenda Nazareth. Saa hii barabara iko sawa.
We also sought to find out the area MP's style of leadership.
You're given a chance to lead. You must do whatever it is that you're doing in a way that you leave a good legacy. I try to bring all these experiences on board and also to hear people's opinion as to what is it that they want.
The National Government Constituency Development Fund has seen the construction of several roads, including the Limuru Town Kwambera Road, Mutarakwa Vigiu Thogoto Road, Kamiredo Kwambera Gitogothi Road, Hakoinange Road, Tigoni Kabuku Ngecha Road, Thigio Ndoma Road, among others. Some of the roads are either fully tarmacked or in the final stages of completion.
We are happy because of the road. Previously, there was no road. We were in distress. To cross over to the other ridge in Nazareth, we'd have to bear bushes, but it's very easy now.
I think what we do here is that we make sure that every shilling counts. Every shilling counts. If you say you are going to spend so much on this stretch of road, for example, we will follow to make sure that everything goes to that road.
The constituency has invested heavily in the education sector. One of its key flagship projects is the school feeding program, targeting over 17 primary schools in the constituency. Here, pupils enjoy hot meals from this kitchen, situated at the Kamandora Primary School. The initiative is a shot in the arm, particularly to parents in Deya, one of the semi-arid areas of a constituency.
You know, as I have said, when you are looking for votes and you're going and visiting people, talking to them, you meet challenges. And one of the challenges that I encountered is to meet some young people
who go to school having not eaten, not knowing what they'll eat for lunch, and not being sure whether they will have something to eat in the evening. And yet, we are expecting these kids to do well.
Most of the schools have undergone a facelift, which includes being fitted with new roofing, metallic doors, and tiling of classrooms.
At the end of last year, the current MP, Engineer Kirago, brought a renovation program, which he renovated 11 classrooms, the administration block, and 11 classrooms, administration block. Changed everything from the floor to the roofing, new roofing, and the tiles.
Hii shule vile ilikuwa classes zilikuwa kama shamba. Hata tulikuwa tunahurumia watoto wetu. Each and every time ni kujukua. Na wengine walikuwa wanavaa sandals. Mtoto akifika nyumbani naona anasema ABCD alijukua. Sasa hiyo complaint yote tukapelekea Mheshimiwa John Kirago Chege akatupea something to do with 5 or 6 million. Ndio tukaanza refurbishment ya hii shule.
As a means of boosting government efforts in the implementation of a competency-based curriculum and the resultant junior secondary schools program, the constituency has completed laboratories in Rwamburi, Rironi and Nyanjega primary schools. Construction of JSS laboratories in Rongai, Githungushu, Murengeti, Ngesha and Kamandura primary schools are at an advanced stage.
There's no junior secondary school program that can be complete without a laboratory. And we discussed with my people here and we agreed. We must make sure that all these schools are complete in terms of infrastructure.
And the legislator has come up with an ingenious plan akin to killing two birds with one stone. The artisans, site managers and engineers from the constituency are engaged in the projects as a means of economic empowerment and skills development.
And we also discussed and said, how do we make sure that we develop local capacity to do the laboratories? Because I have also a responsibility as an engineer to grow other younger people who are in college, architects, they are quantity surveyors here, people who have finished or maybe they are looking for work. So we put in a team of local people from all sorts of disciplines.
Bursary distribution in Limuru constituency is a public affair as stakeholders gather to identify needy people in a given area and the beneficiaries' names are posted in public places for all to see.
The community knows all the people who need to, who deserve a bursary, I tell you. We call people in a certain area because ours is community-based. You must go to the community. And you bring in the chiefs, the, religious leaders, community leaders and everybody for vetting. So when you stand there, people know you, they know your child, they know what kind of a person you are.
To hone digital skills, the constituency has tapped into the national government elaborate plan to have a digital lab in at least every ward. The fund is also supporting government efforts in boosting security in the region, which Kirago describes as a major headache.
During my last other term in service, in 11th Parliament, we brought in a model of making sure that if you are doing housing for our security personnel, like in Rironi, you make sure that you give them a decent accommodation. Give them a house that has a sitting room, a bedroom, a kitchen and a toilet. This is bare minimum.
The MP was at the forefront in pushing for the release of over 100 million grant to the Limuru Dairy to purchase ultra-heat treatment equipment as it expands its footprint. John Jacob Curia, Channel 1.
Ili kupata msubiri Mungu kama skiza tune yako, bonyeza *812 *501#.
Kijana kanipigia simu amejawa na huzuni, amefadhaika yuhoi. Nikamuuliza kunani? Japo nimetia jitihada za mtu wa kujenga nyumba kwa mate, nikaongeza kumcha Mungu, sifanikiwi. Naishi kama lofa mlala hoi, kabwela wa madongo.
Kupata msubiri Mungu kama skiza tune, bonyeza *812 *501#. *812 *501#.
Back to the future. The future is simulate. Bet smarter. Win faster now. Be a winner. Mozartbet.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Gotha tena kwa sweep dinner, weza petit dinner, weza selector. Nini hizo unacheza? Yo, big up to Breeder, man. You know, Gotha has been trending everywhere, man. When we talk about, you know, the airwaves, when you talk about TikTok, everywhere, this is the trending song, man. Big shout out to Breeder, and welcome to the biggest, the baddest entertainment show in the 254 with yours truly, the chairman, Jack Muller. Now, Kenyan men have been voted to be the most handsome in Africa. Hey, and we cannot keep calm, man. They are the most attractive. We are smelling good. We are out here. And guess what? Number 2 is Nigerians. Yani, this time round, yani, musically.